And a good afternoon. Thank everyone for coming in. And sorry about the live being an hour late, but I got into some stuff and it took me that long to get finished. I literally got here 10 minutes before we went live, maybe 15. I have been going all day long. So let's let a few people come in. Thank you so much to Rachel for coming in. I really do appreciate it. Good to see you. And everyone that comes in later, thank y'all so much. May, welcome in. Thanks so much for coming in. It's good to see you. Really appreciate it. Hopefully everyone's having a good afternoon. Like I said, it's been an absolute crazy busy of a day. It started at 7 o'clock. I got up and went over to Dad's and turned the garden again. And then took him to take a package to the post, and then went to the bank, and then come home and paid his life insurance. And then had to take Autumn for her testing today. We'll find out the results for that probably Monday. Welcome in, James. It's good to see you. Thanks so much for coming in. Always good to see you. Really appreciate it. Autumn had a echocardiogram and ultrasound run from her neck, heart, inner thigh, and ankles on both sides. Just making sure everything's all right. She's had some unusual swelling in her lower legs, and just trying to check their bases and make sure everything's okay, which we believe they will be. After I got back from that, I ran over, came home, and cooked some lunch. I don't think we got home till like 3 o'clock. So I fixed some pork chops and toasted some butter garlic bread, and ate that, and then went over to Dad's, and I got his lawnmower running and tried to mow part of the yard, but it needs a new battery, so it died. I got the garden tilled again. I used a smaller tiller this morning, and I went back over it with the big boy this afternoon, and got everything put up just in time to come make this live. So appreciate y'all coming in. Really do appreciate the prayers, James. We really do. Folks that comes in later, we appreciate y'all. Welcome in, Miss Karen. We really appreciate it. All the way from Maryland. That's cool. I'd love to visit Maryland. That'd be awesome. Pretty appreciate everybody for coming in. Like I said, today we're going to start reading from the Creepy Campfires book. This story today comes from us from the Ozarks, which a lot of those people that are there came from Appalachia. So a lot of the things they experience and go on there, it's kind of like a sister to the mountains of Appalachia. So we're going to read this story from here. We're going to read one from our old Phantom Phenomena book if we have time. The ones in this new book are pretty long. So we got that to look forward to. And the video that came out yesterday, haven't even, hopefully the time works for everyone. I had an extra day to actually work on that video, the video, which is kind of a change because normally I have 4 days, but now I've got 5 with the way that they're coming out, and really, really appreciate everyone that watched that video and left the comments. It's titled "A Civil War Veteran Visited by the Spirit of His Old Comrade from War." You guys will have to go and check it out if you haven't. It's pretty neat. It's a pretty special story, and it's sent in from our awesome sister Niecy Blair. Had that come out Wednesday. I was able to get it done. Now, the story that's going to be coming out this next Wednesday that I'm going to start on tomorrow is actually a story from my area that some of the story, I think, as it was passed down, was wrong. It involves a river and some of our closest companions in life are our pets. And some pets are super special and they do things for us that not even our friends could do. And that's what this story is going to be coming up about. And I think as that story was passed down, I think some of the information was wrong because it's told to involve the Tennessee River and this particular it involves a bridge over the river that lasts for 40 years, but the story's told to take place in 1935. And the problem with that is the Tennessee River was flooded between 33 and 40. Welcome in, Marianne. Thank you so much for coming in. Good to see you and appreciate it. But I think what this place that it actually took place at was called the Paint Rock River. And the river that it involves has been there for over 1,000 years. It's a very ancient river that the Native Americans had encampments around. There was a Civil War skirmish over a train bridge that crossed it. Like, it's been so many people has been around the river, and I think it's actually the river that our story's about. But you guys will have to tune in next Wednesday to learn about it. It's a very special story, and it's told. Some people say that it's folklore. I think it's a true story because I even have a photograph that is from back in 1935 to prove the story. The only thing that's disputed is where it actually happened. And like I said, I believe it was the Paint Rock River, where the story is told to be the Tennessee River. It'll be coming out, and it's called Rusty's. It's called Rusty's Crossing, is what it's called. And like I said, you guys will have to tune in Wednesday to check that video out. It's super neat, very historic story, and it's heartwarming as can be. So we'll have that one coming up. I had a person reach out, I mentioned in last video, about some more information that involves a video that I've done in the past on the Mitcham Beach War. He sent in his great grandfather was a witness to all that war that took place there. So I may try to bring that one out into a video pretty quick. I don't know. We'll just have to see about it. But today, like I said, we're going to be getting into our Creepy Campfire storybook. And this story takes place in the Mark Twain National Forest. So it's going to be awesome. And then if we finish with that one, we'll finish one story from this. We have 2 left. But either way, with that, I guess I'm going to get me off the screen. Where am I at? There we go. Let's get into this story. Now, this story is actually entitled Alone in the Ozarks. And it says, first solo camping trip. It's good to know about all the things you might encounter. A skeptical outdoorsman's solo camping trip in the Mark Twain National Forest in Missouri turns into a terrifying encounter with the unexplained. Over 2 nights, haunted by bone-chilling calls and mysterious presence, and he faces his deepest fears. I've always been open-minded about cryptids and the paranormal, but I'm also very, very, very skeptic. If there's any chance of something is explainable, I dismiss it right away. I just want you to have an idea of where I stand on the evidence end of things, because what I encountered in 2012 changed my perspective and life forever. It was mid September, and I had just spent the summer working on a as a chief at the Rising Sun Lodge in the Glacier Park, Montana. When the job ended, I decided to go hitchhiking. My home on my way back, I started in Missoula, Montana, and ended and headed east. For protection, I carried bear mace and a Jeep knife. I crossed 7 states in 2 weeks, sleeping in various isolated locations. I eventually found myself in Missouri, heading east to the city of Poplar Bluff on I 60. On my first night in the state, about 10 to 20 miles west of Poplar Bluff, I set up camp on a steep, high grassy hill against the tree line of the Mark Twain National Forest. The spot offered a great view and seemed secluded. I cooked dinner and settled in for the night, feeling at ease with the familiar sounds of nature around me. Around midnight, I was reading in my tent when suddenly an unworldly call shattered the night's tranquility. The sound was unlike anything I'd ever heard, a mix of howl, moan, and an elk like bellow, all in one prolonged yell. The bass of it resonated through the ground and through my bones, sending a chill down my spine. I quickly turned off my light, grabbed my knife and mace, and waited in tense silence. The calls continue intermediately, each one sounding closer and more menacing than the last. My heart raced, and the cold sweat beaded on my forehead as I realized how isolated I truly was. Let me welcome in Marianne. Thank you so much for coming in. I appreciate it. I did not mean to miss you. I appreciate you coming in. It's good to see you. After what felt like an eternity of this nerve wracking experience, something actually touched the side of my tent. I barely suppressed a yelp of shock. The creature let out its loudest, most aggressive call yet, seemingly right next to me. Then silence fell once more, heavily and oppressive. I remained motionless until dawn, my senses hyper alert to every sound and movement. When the sun finally rose, I quickly and quietly broke camp, my hands trembling as I packed. 2 days later, still shaken from the experience, I was robbed at gunpoint near the Tennessee Missouri border. This forced me to turn back, and 2 days after that, I found myself once again west of Poplar Bluff. Despite my better judgment, I felt compelled to return to the area of my first encounter, hoping to prove myself that it had just been a strange animal. This time, I made sure people knew where I was camping. I ended up in a similar spot and kept alert. As night fell, the forest came alive with its usual symphony of insects and small animals. I tried to relax, even taking a shot of whiskey and smoking a small bowl of tobacco to calm my nerves. Hours passed eventually, but then the forest suddenly fell silent. The abrupt absence of sound was almost unnerving as the strange calls from nights before. I sat perfectly still, straining my ears for any hint of movement. That's when I heard it. Something large pushing through the forest, taking a few steps, then stopping. This pattern continued growing ever closer to my position. My muscles tensed, ready to flee or fight, though I knew my chances against whatever this was slim. Suddenly, the bone chilling call rang out once again, closer than ever before, followed by more calls, each one sending waves of dread washing over me. I found myself frozen and breathing short, shallow gasps. In desperation, I turned on my light and shouted in the darkness. The response was immediate. An ear splitting roar shook the very air around me. Then I heard it crashing away through the underbrush. While I remain skeptical about many claims, I can no longer dismiss the possibility of something out there. Sometimes in this world, defy easy explanations, and sometimes the unexplainable finds you when you least expect it. One final thought: stay aware of your surroundings. You never know when you may have accidentally encountered something from a world beyond our own. Welcome in, Jackie. Thank you so much for coming in. It's good to see you, and I sure appreciate it. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Well, that was a super creepy story that I really enjoyed. Um, and what's strange about it is that he had to turn around and go back and experience it again after completing his job at that resort and trying to hitchhike home. He got to this place in Missouri, had a good night camping, and all of a sudden these animals come up roaring, and he made it through the night to leave only to get robbed and have to go back where he come from and ended up staying there again. I'm not sure how in the world he got up the courage to even move, much less scream and shine his light all around like he did. But it sounds to me like if he wouldn't have, he wouldn't have made it. All right. All right, let's read one more story from this book, and this one's called Stolen Voices on the Mountain. This one takes place in the forests of the Pacific Northwest. It says, when you're in charge of choosing the next outing with one of your best friends, make sure you do your research first. In the aftermath of a devastating wildfires, two friends embark on a celebratory hike through the recovering forests of the Pacific Northwest that quickly takes a terrifying turn. Back in late 2022, one of my friends lost his voice due to a cancerous tumor in his neck. Long story short, the doctor had to remove his vocal cords to get all the tumor. While it was hard to adjust, my friend was just glad to be alive. Let's just call him D for this story. D is a tiny gremlin of a man with a love for the outdoors, rivaled by only his passion for all things weird. I like to think this is a big part of our relationship. Losing his voice was hard on him, but as his friends do, I stuck by him. Fast forward to early summer of 2023. I got a text from my little gremlin of a friend. He wanted to go on a hike to celebrate some test results that had confirmed the doctors had gotten a whole tumor. Naturally, I agreed. The date was picked and set and planned for Augusto. D isn't from around my hometown, a rural place in the Pacific Northwest, full of wooded mountains and dense forest. So he trusted me to know the best day hiking trails. When I'm not busting my back at my day job, I love the outdoors. I picked a mountain that had seen a wildfire about 10 years ago, mostly because I wanted to see how the forest was regrowing. From a distance, it looks bald and bare, like jagged, naked backbone of the earth. But I had heard whispers in the town about the mountain, about those woods. I wrote them off as the known liars of the town, being full of it, or local stoners and mushroom enthusiasts, maybe having vibe too hard. When D and I got to the trailhead, there was the usual joking, with him mostly using text to speech app since I was still learning to sign. He got a kick out of changing the voices or straight up using the default iPhone voice to say his usual unhinged crap as he hiked. But we also talked about life beneath the short exterior was a little guy who had been through a lot. You know how people say the woods go quiet? It's the same thing going through the forest that's been scorched the way the forest was 10 years ago. I had to evacuate my home at the time without knowing if I'd ever be able to go back. I had been lucky, all things considered. D had been asking me about the fire using some random voice from the text to speech app as we circled back down a long path. It had been a few hours, and the plan to stop by a stream in the woods line to go for a swim and eat lunch. It was sweltering, the air thick with humidity, and the scene of sun baked pine needles. I almost didn't notice until we were at the stream that all I could hear was the wind whispering through the cedars. I'm not bothered by most large predators. I do live in bear country, with mountain lions to boot, and wolves occasionally. I remember absently checking my right hip, confirming my dad's 45 was still there. Dee noticed too, but just moved a little closer to me and slung my left arm around his shoulder. When I say D was a little guy, I mean he was a grown man, but he was only 5 foot 1 inches. If you ask him, 5 foot 1 inches around. I'm of the taller end of average 5 foot 8 and a bit of a mama bear when it comes to my friends. When's lunch? D asked shortly from my right. It took everything in me not to freeze, but I felt D go rigid under my arm as we kept walking. D, silent at my left, typed on his phone, and I glanced and I read, "Did you hear that?" I only squeezed his shoulder. He knew that was a yes. I kept my eyes on the trail, though my ears were alert. I could hear the ring of tendonitis quietly and persistently. My footfalls and D's the stream. When's lunch? It sounded again, off to my right. It was so monotone, nothing like I remembered D's bubbly voice. D felt like a tightly wound spring, but when I glanced at his expression, I saw anger. He mouthed words with a voice he no longer had. It took a moment to read his lips. He mouthed the words. That was my voice. He kept our pace, which was faster now we were going downhill. We didn't hear a thing behind us, aside from the occasional question, though each time it became more distorted, like a record being played slower and slower. It wasn't until we saw a person in the distance that we ran, and even then we only ran because we heard the sounds of the forest come back. I'd never been so glad to see someone from the Forest Service. The poor guy looked surprised as we ran up, our feet pounding against the dusty trail. You kids okay? You look like you saw a ghost, he asked, looking worried. I opened my mouth to speak, catching my breath from the sprint, but D was already playing something he had typed out. Heard something weird back on the trail. D's phone ran out. The, the, the ranger gave D a confused look. He has no voice, I said, straightening up from having my hands on my knees. D pointed to the surgical scar along the right side of his neck. Cancer, but they got it all, D answered, the question we both saw coming. The ranger gave a slight nod, then must have caught the way I kept glancing around back in the woods. What did you hear? He asked. I know I had been dreading that question since the moment he first heard the thing. I don't know, I shuddered. I don't want to know either. Could you just walk us back to our car, please? It's the blue one parked in the pull off up the road. Sure thing, he said. Dee stuck close to me, and I kept my arm around him, as it was still a mile and a half or so to the car, but it felt a hell of a lot safer with an extra set of eyes and ears. Even what the forest hushed again. I am certain it wasn't the ranger's first rodeo because he didn't respond to a monotone voice calling out. He looked at as creeped out as Dee and me. The normal sounds of the woods returned. As we reached the road, I could see the ranger's truck next to my car. So I began, "We don't talk about it. The tribe doesn't either," the ranger murmured. "I believe you two and I just want to put it down as a line." "To keep people away?" I asked. He gave the smallest nod, then a shiver. "Whose voice did you hear?" I asked him after a moment. "My brother's. And you two?" I pointed to Dee and said his. "Welcome in, Miss Betty. I appreciate you coming in. It's sure good to see you. Thank you so much." "Welcome, welcome." I never caught the ranger's name. "Welcome in, Miss Nisi. Thank you so much for coming in. It's good to see you. Welcome, welcome, welcome." I never caught the ranger's name, but sometimes I see him around town. I later learned of an incident in missing hikers since the fire. Makes me wonder what the fire forced down the mountain. Makes me wonder if all that loss, lives and livelihoods, homes, and manifested into something dark, or if it's something else altogether, something best left unnamed. Sometimes the scariest things in the woods isn't what you see, but what you hear, especially if it's your own voice. Okay, let me turn. What a story. Could you imagine going hiking in an area that had been disturbed and so devastated by a fire 10 years before? You and a voiceless friend went walking while you're deep in those woods, all of a sudden, all go silent, and you hear your voice's friend's voice once again. But it's not from him, it's from the woods. Man, that's just creepy as all get out. But I really enjoyed it. So far, the creepy campfire stories are turning out to be super, super cool. Uh, I think maybe next week we'll finish up our Phantom Phenomena book. We'll put it on the shelf so we can continue reading our other one. And maybe on some of these live streams, we'll get into some of the things from this Appalachian Folklore Unveiled book. Thank you so much, Slow Boy. I didn't mean to miss you there. I appreciate you coming in. I always appreciate you. I want everybody to feel welcome. Uh, this book that we got coming up, Appalachian Folklore Unveiled, has some of the coolest stuff. It's got stuff from the culture all the way to kind of like influences, and there's a section on haints, and then there's a section on apparition. See, a section on apparitions. There's a section on omens. Oh, okay. Hopefully you make it home safely. Anywho. And then we have a section on superstitions. So there's a lot of good stuff in here. And what else we got? There's quite a few haints. There's some cryptids and hybrids. Let's see. We got monsters and demons. Just all sorts of neat stuff that I'll probably be using this for live stream and videos. This one will be primarily for you guys on the live streams. I wish I could find a book like this that's not of creepy stories, but of more heartwarming stories. But as you all know, bad, scary stories are everywhere, and heartwarming stories are in short order. So as I get those, I tell them, and I have these to read y'all every other time. And speaking of heartwarming stories, that awesome story that we dropped Wednesday from Miss Niecy's great grandfather, I absolutely enjoyed that. And I appreciate her for submitting that. It made my day. I don't think I've ever sent that cross out. I need to get a box for her cross. I got her cross finished, but I have yet to find a box to fit it. I'm going to work on that, getting that out to you as soon as I possibly can. And Miss Niecy, we got through the test today. We don't know the results of those. We won't know till Monday. But hopefully Monday we'll see what they've got to say. And James said there's two interesting stories. I tell you what, if I'm in the woods and hear something talking, I can't be the person that sounds like. I'll be staying feet. Feet don't fail me now. That's hilarious. That's something Jared says. But yes, I enjoyed these. I know that they're rather creepy, but like I said, these stories are from all over, and they happen in different ways. The first two of the ones that we read today are from the In the Wild When Nature Turns Sinister section. But then we don't have a story, Shadows Beyond the Firelight, When Camping, Dark Trails, Mysteries in the Mist, Monsters Among Us, and When Darkness Clocks. So we got different themes there that we'll be getting into. And like I said, this video that's coming out this coming Wednesday is called Rusty's Crossing. It's about a dog and him doing everything he can, including nearly losing his life for his owner to help him out. And the town doing something special for him that helps him and his owner out. You'll have to check back with us Wednesday on that. That story takes place in 1935. And I have a photograph from taken during the time proving that the story's real. I just got to find it here. I'll just show y'all the photograph. That photograph was taken in 1935, and that's a little Rusty right there. So you'll have to come join us to find out the whole story. It's, like I said, it's a super neat, heartwarming story. it's one of those stories, when things are passed down from generation to generation, some parts of it are forgotten or changed. And this is one of them that was supposedly, it's told to take place on the Tennessee River, but I, along with many others, think that it takes place on the Paint Rock River because of the timeline. Because in 1933, uh, our area, the TVA, flooded, and there's no way that you could have a bridge cross an area of water that's like a mile across. So the Paint Rock River at its widest is 130 feet wide, but at its narrowest is 30 feet. And it's been there since like 1,000 years or so. It's just an ancient river. So, like I said, you guys will have to join in Wednesday at noon to see exactly what happened and hear Rusty's story. So, it's a good one that I found from the Historical Society, and we'll share it with y'all. I want to thank each and every one of you guys for coming out, participating. I 100% appreciate it. Thank you guys for leaving likes on the videos, watching them all the way through, leaving the comments, the prayers for Autumn. I appreciate that. I appreciate you guys that sending your stories in through the comment section. Also, sending them in to our email. We appreciate that. We did go and check it, and all we had in it was junk mail this time, but we appreciate you guys that do send stuff. Thank y'all so much for that. Makes us feel special. And there's the P.O. box. If you have a story that you'd like to share or anything, we appreciate any and all of them. Prayer requests, whatever. It's there for that too. Like I said, I thank you guys for coming out at 7 o'clock on a Wednesday afternoon or Thursday afternoon. And hopefully you guys have an amazing rest of your night. Enjoy your weekend. And until next Monday, or we'll see, Wednesday with a video, we'll see you later. Thank y'all so much for coming. We appreciate y'all.